This is the payment report. The payment report is found on the schedule, or the information for it's found on the schedule screen. That is this block of information right here in the portal. When you need to have the payment report, you can either get to it from the main menu by using this button. In the payment report, anytime that the information does not show at the top for the individuals, go ahead and push on the Run Report button to return the sort order. Now, in this particular case, I've only received one payment so far, and then one partial payment on this job, which is 1 and 2, on those 2 work orders. But this is for the client on this specific date. If it was on a different date, this would repeat, and it would show down here, and then it would break out separately. Now, on this report, it flags in red anything that has an outstanding balance due. So if you're looking at this screen, you see there's $171.55 that is a payment balance due on the sub-summary and on the grand summary. And as far as the payment sum, this is how much has been paid so far. So these correspond here, and this corresponds to the amount that's a balance due. On the payment schedule, if you enter this payment in, this balance of $171.55, what it'll do is it'll turn this to 0, and the red will disappear. So anytime you're working through this report, it's very quick to see what is something that has a flagged red field, so you know that you have a balance due. Now, obviously you can use a range, like I showed the date range for doing a date range of records. You can usually do that. You can't do it in the sort fields, but you can do it down here for the pay dates. So you would use that greater than or equal to, the date, that less than or equal to, and the date that bounds the search area that you want to look at. So for example, if I did 10 days, 15 days, or a month, or a quarter, I could see all the activity in any one period of time that had to do with both payments and what was actually done and who was a customer during that period of time. I would see how they paid their bill. And one of the most important things, as you're doing your deposit slips, you can use this payment report to show that you did deposit the item and what date, by clicking this, what date you actually reported it. So that would be for the items as you go through. Anything that does not have a deposit and a date is also a flag that you have not deposited, or have a deposit slip that shows the coverage on that one collectible item. Now, obviously, you can't put it in until it's actually paid. So this could be a partial payment. Then you'd have to go back and show a different date for the balance being paid by this client, which in this case was me. So in order to do this, you can also look at the payment screen, which is the portal for each individual record, and you can see that also that information is provided here as well, and then return to the payment report if you need to. Now you can use the find and perform find, and the best way to do that is look by a payment ID or a date range, or the actual person themselves. And you, like in everything else, if I do a find, all I have to do is enter the first part of my name, and I'll show you how simple it is. I won't even put much of it in there, and I'll say perform the find, and yet it'll still find this. You can also do a find for everything that has a yes, or something that has no date here in this. So you would just say a null date. But you could search in there for something that does not have, as well as something that does have. And the way you do that is that there is a formula at the top of the screen when you're doing, in certain cases, the entry. So for example, when you're doing a find, in this case, I'm going to show you up here that there is, in the record up here, the operators, and you can have less than or equal to, less than or equal to here, less than equal to, greater than or equal to, a date range, an invalid date time, and so forth down the list of items. So whatever you would find in there, if you clicked in there and then click one more time, you could put the operator in there, and you could say less than and put a date in there, and that's what'll come up. So it could be less than today, or less than yesterday, or whatever you want to put in there. Now, if you click to perform find without finishing it, you'll get an error message like this. So you have to be aware of that. And it says, this field contains invalid criteria. Allow this to continue. You could say revert, which will wipe the field out and let you continue. Or you can say yes, and it'll leave that in there, but it's still going to be bogus information. So you want to say no. And what it's going to do is you can cancel this by going ahead and doing the perform find one more time and say revert and then cancel, and then it takes it out and returns it back. Once you've done a find and you actually have a record, you'll see how it eliminates the sort headers. Just click the report header and it brings it back in again. If you need any additional help with this, what I'm showing you here, you can always get in touch with me on the support site. Thank you.